Did you know Jesus defines Holy Spirit? In Mark chapter 13, verse 11, the yellow highlighted text that you see, Jesus teaches sometimes the words people say are not their own words. The words are from or by Holy Spirit. And in Matthew chapter 10, verse 20, Jesus teaches, Holy Spirit is our Father's word speaking from your mouth. Now I did some editing in the blue and green highlighting and the word in, and I had to add the word through because we have 4 examples of our Father's words. The first example, Luke chapter 1, verse 67, tells us when Zacharias declared John's the Baptist's life, these words had to be said by our Creator, for he prophesied John's life. The second example we have is Luke chapter 1, verse 41, when out of Elizabeth's mouth she declared Mary's son is blessed. These 2 verses prove their words were our Creator's words coming from their mouths. The third and fourth example are in Luke chapter 12, verse 12, and Matthew chapter 12, verse 28, where Jesus teaches our Creator's words will be said in their mind, and then they are to say his words. Other examples of our Creator's words coming to their mind are in the Hebrew text, where the prophets are being told to go out, and then our Creator will tell them what to say. Thus, Jesus teaches us there is no Trinity. All right, this here is what I found in the last chapter, and I want to explain what I'm doing here. I'm finding the first writer's formats, and then I'm going to combine them together to be all one book. I'm almost done with Kings, and I've got maybe 20 other books done. Now, I have one more to go. This is a 3-verse format. You can see I got 3 verses here, and what the format that I found, you need to have 2 major words in a verse and connect them with the least amount of words, small words. So you can see here and here, those are the major words. Now what happens is in the first one here, it becomes a statement. And then these 2 combine together like a sentence to become the definition of the statement. And then this here together is a small paragraph. And when there's 2 very similar formats, this becomes like a larger paragraph. The 4-verse, this becomes the comma, this becomes the period, this becomes a comma, this becomes a period. So you got like 2 sentences or 2 verses to make a sentence. And again, they'll combine to make a small paragraph, and then 2 of them together make a larger paragraph. Now, I've got quite a bit of information. Oops, still editing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with 20 and 21 in today's video. And right now I'm going to explain to you my editing marks here. I need to scroll up because there was a lot of text that was thrown out. The last chapter was thrown out. This is what it looks like usually when I'm looking for the formats. When I'm replacing a word, I'll use a / and then I'll put in the word that I believe, if it's a name, I'm just replacing the name. I will highlight it in green. Sorry about that. I need to spit out some stuff I coughed up there. So here is how I'm adding a word, and it'll be italic for right now. If it's the word that I'm replacing here is similar to it or within the shadow of the intent of what the verse was saying, I'll put it in yellow like this. If I'm adding it completely, it will be in gray, and it'll be italic. So I think that's pretty much what my editing marks are. Now I got to go down here to the text. And all that text went out because Isaiah has the same text, and I've already done Isaiah. In fact, they switched the story from it. So, but this, let me make sure that this text is large enough for you to see as I'm talking. These are being recorded for history. So when somebody comes along and says, what did I do to do all this? This is that video they need to watch on Kings, or 2 Kings chapter 20 and 21. In those days, Hezekiah, I've shortened his name up, became deathly ill. And why I'm changing that word is because I'm trying to make sure 12-year-olds can read the text. And that is the key to what I'm doing here as well. Deathly ill. And Isaiah, we know he's a prophet. We've already got him introduced as a prophet. Came to him and said, thus, I usually try to change to this to update it. That's sometimes I do have to use the word, but this is being said by our creator. So here I do this, and now have this word said. This was said by YV. And if you watch one of my other introduction, I'll teach you why I'm using just those 2 letters for the 4 letters for his name. And if it starts out with a 3 verse, I'll continue to see how long. Sometimes the text will go from saying a story this here to introduce you, and then it'll become, when the story changes, it will be a 4 verse or then revert back to a 3 verse. So set your house in order, or you will die and not live. I'm going to have to do this because I can't think of how I could make that longer. So I'm using you and will as the second word, or one of those 2, because you got to have who it is, and otherwise you wouldn't understand that. And then this, not live. Okay, but it's this would be like he's got to name who's the king going to be king after him if he's going to die. Okay, so the house, I guess I could use the word throne here. And it has to be done by anointment. So, and this is our creator had tell him to do this. So, and that's got to be yellow because that's the intent of the word. But I don't know if I got that spelled right. Anoint, it's got to be son. Now this is so much opposite of what's going on. I got to say, I got to add it. Anoint your son, for you will die and not live. Then he turned his face to a wall and talked to YV. Prayed means to talk to our Creator. So he's immediately doing it, and these are going to be the words he's saying. So could I use the word prayed? Yes, I could have, but I want to make sure people understand that he's going to talk to our Creator here. I'm going to make it as he is saying this. So this means he's the writer of this text. I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. She said, remember this. I said, remember, it's like it's past now. It has to say this. I mean, whoops. Yeah, I'll leave it that way. Right now, gotta go back. I passed now. Well, I guess I can see that it's how I walk. That would be his past. So I guess I got ahead of myself. How I lived. Yeah, I'm thinking this is. And I'm seeing this as a 4 verse. And this would be a definitely change from here. And those two group together pretty good. That would be a double space there, and that would be a double space there. Okay. With your my heart. with your, this can't be truth anymore. It's got to be commands. I'm trying to think of how do I say that? I'll say commands. That covers statutes, commandments. With your commandments in my heart, I am to do whatever is righteous in your sight. Righteous I have is above good. Righteous means most obedient to our Creator. Sight. Now, I think this story is someplace else because this is awfully short. So let me see here. The word wall would be a good one to search the text. Whoops. And I've got to search. And what I'm going to search is the other text that I've got here. Okay, I've gone too far because that's this king here. And he is, so let me just, I just want to see if the story is here. Well, maybe it's even up above higher, or it's not here. Yes, turn to the wall and pray. Okay. Well, it's repeating it, but I've already got it. So that means all this story about him becoming deathly ill I got to look at it again. My mind is telling me that I should. Yeah, see, this is in Isaiah, and you can see in those days, deathly ill. And then I've introduced him in this text as a prophet from this son from. Yeah, and to appoint a son to sit on your throne. So it is better said over here. So I'm going to say I'm not needing any of this text of this story. How you doing? I don't understand Russian, I believe that is. So I see you're here for the first time, and you're on Twitch here. I'm also on YouTube. How you doing today? I guess the normal question when people do ask, "What am I doing?" I'm finding the hidden formats within the text. Um, they have two formats: a 3-verse and a 4-verse. 3-verse, the first verse is a statement. These two become like a sentence that define the statement. And when I find two together, I group them like that. I put a double space before and after them. And then for a 4-verse, these two become a sentence, and another set becomes a sentence, and they're like a small paragraph. No, I'm recording this for history, so it does take. I'm trying to get the text and explain it, and then I get concentrated there because I'm trying to make sure everything I'm thinking of how I'm editing the text is what people need to trust me on later, because this is Jesus's prophecy about a helper who is coming to correct the text of Jesus. And I can do that with many books that I've already done, and I'm down to the last few here. All these books I've done, I've got to put Psalms into this text yet. And you can see I got Samuel 2 yet to do, and I got Kings 2 to do yet. So those are the last two books. I've been doing this for 30 years, but this is my final last go around. I'm really got everything now in my head. I've learned a few things that I pulled out more that, or maybe I've forgotten by doing it, really trying to dig out every word. So that's what I'm doing here. And okay, no, I was saying I was throwing this story out because I already have that story in Isaiah. Oh, this is the story that they try to make the sun go backwards, and I'm not going to do that. They say that Isaiah healed him. I don't think that's true. I think our Creator healed him. Yeah, this is what will be your sign. Steps go backwards, the shadow will go backwards. I don't put in false stories. So that's in there. Now I'm not sure if this is new or not. No, I don't think it is. So let me go back here. I wish I didn't move that. Okay, here's where I turn to the wall and pray. So, see, now this is all the words that he really said, written, and it was written by him. That's why I tried to make the other in first person. So the next story has got to be what I'm looking at now to edit. These were words about Jesus in Isaiah. And you can see I'm using all bold letters or all capitalized letters for the words that are important from our Creator. So, and then Jesus is in red. So that's, people know when our Creator is speaking. So and just like the word he will be a regular he with a small letter or small h to mean a normal he. He with a capital letter would be Jesus, and 2 capital letters will be about our Creator. So now you got who is him, and him. You know, there's 3 of them. But if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I don't mind explaining what I'm doing, because I know it's here. Let me show you something. There are actually 12 commandments when you study Exodus 21 through 17. Bingo, there they are. I can change, or I did change one word in Exodus 26:26 to arches, and now we have a roof on his tent for meeting. So nobody has been able to figure out what these boards do. I did, and it had to be arches. Because the only thing when I was building it, I was counting each board and how they go and built it. And I realized they don't have the roof, and I had this text here. So that's a first in history you'll see here. And then the problem in the 1611 preface, these are the translator's own word, but a great clerk, Gregory the Divine, now notice they put a capital D on it, and I'm sure most Christians would think that Jesus is divine. But here, the translators are saying Gregory is the divine. So that should give you red flags of saying these guys aren't truthful. And then down here, when they talk about your reward, lastly, the end of your reward for the study thereof, which will be the Bible text, is just to have a fellowship with the saints and a participation of a heavenly nature. So this, I don't think, is what people actually study the Bible for. They want to know how to go to heaven or how to get to heaven. So here, we now know many things. I can point out that atheists have been in control of the text. And that's why I can pull so much of this stuff out. Now the story is, okay, here it is. He's going to send this guy from Babylon, and he's going to show him everything in his treasure room, all his silver and gold. So I have already this story here. So see, I got rid of this guy's name and said this is his name. So this is just a made up story, and again, but I already have it, so I don't need to redo this text. Here's showing everything I have. And then this is Isaiah telling the prophecy from our Creator. It's not the word from YHVH, it's the prophecy from YHVH that all these things are going to be carried away into Babylon. Now they will become officials in Babylon. Now that, I don't know if it, but this would be talking about Daniel and his 3 buddies, how they were taught, and then King Nebuchadnezzar chose them to enter into his government, in fact. So a lot of people would think that they were brought as slaves, but I've got to check. If I don't have that, that would be something very important. And they will become officials for, okay, I already got that then. That's good. And yes, I know he thought that was that was a good prophecy because he was going to be still alive and the kingdom was going to have a peace, but in the future, it's not going to be. Now, this is like a summary of what he's done and where the books are written. And I can see this as a 3-verse, and this would be a 3-verse, 3-verse. So this, I can't remember any other king had done this building of a conduit to bring water into the city. So this would be important, and it would be a big thing. I really think that's completely new. And then he was talking about Jesus here. So, okay, then this is supposed to be the next king where it goes. So this is not the summary. This is a summary, so I have to actually edit this. Actions. By Zeke. And all his, he did, oh yeah, I was going to say, see, this is the next king coming up, but the thing here, it wasn't, the might would, I would change greatness. The greatness is, he did like David, he tore down all the things that they're building for Ra the sun god and the moon goddess and all the other gods in heaven. At that time, they thought the planets and the stars were actually gods. So, in fact, that's another proof that the Catholic Church did not get rid of the pagan names, that they aren't the good guys. So even pagan names for gods of months and dates or days. So, okay. And how he made. No, I can see what I want is down below it, so I can get rid of this. Made. I'm going to say he made more than one because it can come in and then it can branch off. So I want to make sure that the 2, he didn't do it by himself. The water had to do it to bring into this would be our cities if he did it, because once he established it, then everybody could copy it, and it probably come from like a spring water or a river, but I'm going to say that they did it to other cities. So first running water in the Western world here that I could see. Let's put into the text here. Okay, now those two would be grouped together. And how they are written down in the book for King. Then he died. See, it's a small summary we got here. And Manasseh, his youngest, So I'm adding that. His youngest son became king in his place. Well, I got to make it a 3 verse. Became king. Now that was 20. That was rather fast. I didn't think I was going to throw out so much. But yeah, I only got that little bit at the end. But it all adds up. And we get more knowledge of what happened back then. So and I still can't understand why that's jumping all over the place. Okay, so this is the text that I got. So I need just a space here because I'm going to put titles for the chapters here, but carrying this information forward to know where the text come from. Then it would be a graph of 2, and then this, and since we got all of it, I don't have to add like it's missing words. That is chapter 20, what's truthful and not actually copied, a recopy of the text we have in Isaiah. So I know I'm going to shorten all this stuff up later as well, but since I'm going through it, all the PDFs, everything are going to be available. So now it's 2 Kings 21. Now this king I've got is in small letters because he did evil, okay? In fact, the story is going to really become real evil. So what we're doing is moving from this king now to this king. Israel has now been taken away by Syria. So we're going to talk about him, and then these other kings are going to be in place into the text. So all this timeline comes from our Creator's hidden formats. So it's 12 years old when he became king. Okay, he reigned 50. Oops, that's my error. 5 tens is 50, and 5 years in Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem here is evil city, so that's the way I know when things are bad. Helping the reader to understand the text. Now, it was 50 years, not 52 years. This guy rules for 2 years. Years. And I put as king in Jerusalem. I know it's a double. I don't like doing it, but that's an easy add to make sure that this is truthful. Now they've been adding these, and I was thinking about, because it's added like 7 times now. This would be like them making notes and adding this later into the text, because there really is text missing of the sons that were born, by the wife of the king. And so they try to stick these in here, but it's not matching the format. So it's kind of like it might be the first or some of the first corruption of the text when they started rewriting it. They knew it was written in columns. I think it's in Isaiah where it says they wrote in columns. So here, that's my assumption, I guess, because I've also got other texts that they wrote, and there is a hidden format. They're using the hidden format style, but the stories are completely false. So I know that that would have been some of the earlier editing in there when they started corrupting the text. And at this king's time is definitely when I tell everybody that he he was an evil king, and he did evil in YHVH's sight. According to, and I use the word mankind. Now, what's neat about the word mankind, it's actually, there's a practice by the Pope, the bishops, monks, and nuns that they sit and meditate to have sex with a female goddess. And what happens is on a male, once a year, his maleness retracts inside his body. And that's why when you look at these old pictures like this, you'll see this here. This is supposed to be the zodiac sign of what they've got there. It retracts inside his body, and this is on the Vatican's wall. And notice he's saying he's got a retraction. So they use this symbol as the Templar Knights, by the way. And this is the practice for the female goddess, or females, how they symbolize it. And that pretty much means her rosebud becomes flat and thin and about an inch and a half long as a sword. So, according to mankind, in now nations I use for Israel because they're made like the United States, but others I use the word kingdom to represent the difference between these two words. YV. Had removed, they cleaned out the promised land the way I can see it, removed before Israel here. So this is before, and this would be tribes. They'd done that when they were, they'd done this when they were tribes. And they were good at that time. The tribes from Israel, and that's how I make it the man or the male Israel. So, okay. This, I guess, I think the best word would be by. Him rebuilding rebuilding their altars. For his father, this guy above here, and I don't need this. So I'm looking for a 3 verse. Had destroyed Now this is Ra, the sun god. And the daughter is Asherah. Okay. Now, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. Not as, like. And it wasn't Ahab. I think it was Jotham. So let me explain. This Jeroboam, to stop Israel's going into Jerusalem, to try to keep the kingdom separated, he set up a altar in Bethel and said, "This is YV, your creator, and we can do everything here." So he pretty much replicated what was in Jerusalem. This king here, he's the one that said, we're going to get rid of YV and we're going to put in Ra, the sun god, and his daughter, the moon goddess, and also all the planets that you see that are well, wait a second, it's Joram, right? I'm talking and Joram. And this guy was really the one that corrupted big time. He's the first evilest of them all. And this would be correcting, because this king was actually a good king. So when I do the nation Israel, it's all caps, small capitals. He worshipped. Okay. See, this is all the host is actually being changed to gods by saying this is the stars. See, this is all the host in heaven, and there's 3 heavens. The stars I note with a capital H, a little h like it was, where's the birds flying in the heaven, and then then it's above the North Stars where heaven, where they're all capital letters, all the gods. Now you notice how the title gods with an S can't mean the title God itself. So that's confusing to people because they don't stop and think what's going on with the words. So if you have a title God and you know what God does, you can't have many gods. that excludes the Almighty God of all of them. So definition for them. But this is how they would thought at that time. So I'm putting that text in there, and served them. That's a 4 verse. That's a 3 verse. So if they're serving them, they're already worshiping him. So I can do that, like Jotham, king for Israel. He worshipped. He too. Well, I guess I need to get rid of this word. It sounds better without it. Like Jotham, king for Israel, worshipped the gods in heaven. Okay. And he built their altars in the courtyard. Can't have it built inside. Courtyard. Whoops. Built in the courtyards, and he built their altars in the courtyard for YHVH. There's 2 courtyards. That would be his courtyard, because the king right across, let's see, I guess when they made Jerusalem, the tent for meeting opening is facing south, because that's the way their creator had it built in Sinai. And then Solomon across the street built his place where the kings were going to live, but the courtyard fencing around his house is 100 cubics by 100 cubics, and Solomon's fencing ran 100 cubics as well. And most likely his opening was right across from our creator's gates. He made gates, but he had courtyard. So because this here is going to a 4 verse and they put that together, I can't use that. But it's these 2 courts give me this feeling that I should do something like, and I'll put it here because it is something that's going to be, and in the king's yard. And this don't need. Now this here, I'm thinking, gee, it's 4 verse here. this is 3 verse. I could make that a 4 verse. But this would be, I have to split there and there and there. So I'm looking for another one that goes to here. That's what I'm looking for. Well, if this would be the first time that I can do this. But this is up here. No, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to put was, and I'm going to say anointed. Well, this one I'm getting rid of was anointed. Okay, that's so far I got to say I added that word. Okay, now it's 3 verse. Now it looks right. Now this is 3 verse, and I need another one here. Okay, so he didn't make his sons go through fire. That's the trickery of the words that they do in the wording. These guys are crafty, I guess. They'll use a word like incorrect, and you'll be reading like that means wrong. But when you read the text and you know their practice, they're meaning on the inside of the body, that is the correct thing to do, incorrect. So he did lots of evilness. I guess I could say many. When I'm using the words lots, I don't want it confused. Oh, I think I've got it listed other ways. So I'm thinking that's close enough to the word much. He did many evils in the sight of YV, provoking him to anger. But since I'm going to those fuchsia colored words meant that they were added in the 1977 NSAB, but I'm just now making them mine. So I guess I should still try to keep some of it. I guess I'll do it this way because they did have it in there. He practiced. He practiced meditation They have it witchcraft. See, this witch, it means like witch female, which you're going to have sex with a female or you're going to have sex with the so-called goddess. That's the witchcraft meaning, the way they would trick you with words. And use divination and it was spiritualist. Now here it's kind of like, and he dealt with spirit, and he were they part, because now the priest had to be corrupt extremely, because that text is going to come up with what he'd done. Oh no, above it's already what he did in the courtyards. So he practiced meditation and used divination and worked with spiritualists. I can't say they dealt. I think this is the intent of the word, be worked with spiritualists. For he did many evil. No, I was going to say, I got to use the word even. He even set up set up his, because we already got what he did, so this would be his. His own carved image. That's what's going on. He carved an image of Asherus, their goddess. That he made. This has to be the word in, and had made in the house. This would be our Creator's house, but at this time, it's not our Creator's house, and the bad guys are in there, so that's how I do that noting. This would be his house, and placed it in his house. Yellow. No, I did this one here. I could just use one word, and placed it in this house. Now this is the story. Okay, all this is the promise that our Creator told them, and I'm thinking the readers better understand this because it's so important about setting up the 12 commandments. The 12 commandments are the agreement of how them and their descendants are able to live in our Creator's kingdom, okay, on earth, and, or not our Creator's nation on earth. And then later, it was David's son who's going to have a kingdom in heaven, and that's why we enter heaven. Yeah, that is so important. So this is so late in the game that the reader by this time better know all this. So which goes to where? Goes to where? And just like the word above here, I was talking about witchcraft. Here's it again, witch-wivey. They're making our creator the goddess here. Now it doesn't sound like his name is supposed to be here. Because in his house, it's a meeting room. Where wifey meets with I think that's better said. Where wifey is to meet with us forever. And this is all part of the promise, so don't need that. Yes. Manasseh didn't subdue them, he done evil. He did. Evil more than this has to be the nation Israel, or I could put Jotham here. Well, here it is. if I do put Joran, Jada, he's the good guy. I'm going to say this, although I've got to make it my word. More than, so this is kind of a connection. More than Jada did to tribes or Israel. Okay. Now, these guys have been dead for a couple hundred years. They were the ones that were killed off by Moses. Men, women, and children, and animals. Now, this I don't need. Don't need this. Kind of summed up right here. But now this is going. This is a prophecy. This was prophesied. Who's the prophet that says this? There's two verses that are missing here. Grab the right two. Come on. Yeah, how come I can't grab them? This, well, you can grab the first one. So this has to be the prophet said. This has to be the word said. Or no, declared. Like, I don't know how, if I can shorten this down by the prophet's name and then would have to be came to Manasseh. Behold, I will Not time to say bringing. I will bring. It's got like an army to Judah. I'll bring a calamity. It's not that. It's so this would be and this was his nation Israel. So that's remnants like that. First person text. Destruction, I guess. Destruction. Bring destruction 2. So now it doesn't sound right. I will bring evilness 2. I will bring death. I will. This has got to be army. Bring an army to Jerusalem, Judah, and now that tells me that I've got this cut wrong. This has to be Jerusalem and Judah. Okay. So this has to be here. Whoever. And not whoever. Everyone. Hearing. It's got to be me. Ears will tingle. I'll have to put both. this. This means I'm missing 4 verses completely. So, because got to have a beginning to this is to start out who's saying this. Where is he saying it at? Is he saying it when he's saying it at the gates for our Creator? Then that would be, oh, this prophet might be Uzzah, for the simple fact I'm pretty sure that this king sent to Egypt to bring him back to kill him. So this would be his prophecy that he declares at the gate. So he declares many other things, but so then this, did I have 2 spaces there? No. Too long to do that. So, but this is a 4 verse. I need to say all this, got to get rid of this. That's what I forgot to do. I was editing this. And then it would be this. And everyone hearing me, their ears will tingle. Then it is, maybe it is just 1 verse missing here. And that's how it would start. What would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I have. It has to be already judged to say what he's saying above. Or I have. It means to measure, so I have judged. I have judged Jerusalem. It has to be mankind and Judah and Judah. So and tear it down. Because you literally can't. Usually, when this is like this, he uses the words uproot. So to upset down, upside down would be to uproot. So now it's tear it down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I will leave a remnant. The remnant is like, is like only the good people. And that's Jesus's name, by the way. That they gave him inheritance. It's his inheritance, so this text will go red, meaning Jesus. But they will become under, I guess, would be good. Or I'm going to say it's Babylon who's coming. I know Babylon's coming, so it's going to be for a great enemy. That would be good. It's 4 verse. We kind of get that out of this, so it's not missing much there. Now this would be the prophecies got to be talking to the king. So now we have him confronting the king when I put the word there. So see, this is our creator. Because you have done evil in my sight. Evilness in my sight. And have provoked me to anger. And provoked me to anger. Even to this day would be unlike. Well, it's actually going to be this way. Unlike your fathers. And I don't need this. Unlike kind of covers this. Unlike your fathers. Well, much. He didn't shed it, he killed. Many innocent people. This has already been said. That's by our creator. Oh, this is the recap. This is recap, that's what's going on here. Okay, I was trying to say, how can I get that to be a 4? But this I'm seeing is the recap. So this, I can say, is done. And those got rid of, but they're tied to this words. Besides, and this is Judah here. Well, he made Judeans. He made Israelis sin. Israelis were the ones that were most dedicated to our Creator, and then he was changing them over to his belief system. And this the rest of the actions. This idiot. And all he did sins he committed. Now that's a 4 verse. That changes to 3 verse. Let's see what this is. Died. Was buried in the king's by this has to be more than one king's going to live there. But they didn't want his body to be unburied. So by their house, which would be in his courtyard. Okay, so that's a 3 verse. That's a 3 verse. That's a 4 verse. So this has got to be a 4 verse. No, it's got to be a 3 verse. All that he did, I could get rid of that. Now that would be a 3 verse. If I use the word sins here, I can use that verse. Get rid of that word, which he caused Israelis can say I'm using that way. Besides his sins, he caused Israelis to, meaning led Jesus's people away. Evilness. Then I don't need that. Now I got 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, now his son. Okay, and he's supposed to be around for 2 years. And then this guy. Now you see the lineage. He's going to come from this guy. So let me move that over. So pull it up again. It's not right on the edge. So then Ammon, his young son, became king in his place. Ammon was 22 years old. And he was, I can put it that way, we already got him introduced who he is. and he was 12 years old when he was anointed. I think when he was brought on this, it would have been done by evil priests by that time. Okay. Old. 2 years in Jerusalem. Like his father had done. Don't need this added. Yeah, it does. It's not going to meet the format otherwise. So he lived. Well, it's more this. Where he lived. Like, well, this is our, if I got it here, then I don't need it here. Served. Their goods. Served their gods. Like his father. This would mean that he was having things done inside the courtyard on the altars that his father set up, is what this is. And where's the third one out of here? Like his father had done. gonna have to use this. Like his father. Well, I think I added that word, like his father had lived. Oh, here I had it here. But let's put it here. Like his father had lived, serving obeying their gods. I think that's a great word to put right there. This, no. Now this, if they're going to consider and kill them, who are these guys? They, let's see. It'd have to be the guards for this guy. The guards for this guy. Because the thing here is they're going to set the next guy up because he only lived 2 years. So they got sick and tired of it. And now the thing here is how old is this guy? Guards for, and I have, so when did he, how old was he? If he was 12 years old and he ruled for 50 years, this has to be a descendant from Hazik. Okay, now that would make sense. That's the only way it can make sense. And the descendants from Hezek conspired against him and killed the king. Now that's 3 verse. We've got to use descendants down here. Whether it's a 4 verse or not, I still don't know there. Then in the descendants, I've got to have from this guy of this is out. King in his place. Because there's going to be over 60 years. So it's got to be his descendants are sick and tired of what's going on. And they would be powerful enough to do this. The priests are too corrupt. Because actually, this guy that's coming in, he's going to remove those priests that are there. And he was buried in a grave. By the King's Garden. We'll try to get this guy in here. the courtyard for the king. This we already have. Okay. Let me see, I've done that. Get that ready. Put this text up. Let me start up here where it's supposed to start. And then this would have been 2. That's 1. This would be 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now it snuck up on me. Trying to note to the reader what's different here. Two. No. This is 2, 2. This is definitely a 2. This is here, so let me make this 2. And make this 1. This 2. And then this part of this story is missing, which is 4 verse. So 1, 2, and then this goes here. Then this is 1 space. So the story of who the prophet is, where he was sent by YV, that's here. And I should be able to come up with reasonable words for there. Now these, whoops, got to get rid of that. That would be 2, 2 here. 2 here. 2 here. This is going to have to be then. Then the descendants, they're running the story together. And like I said, some writers do that. They switch stories and they keep continuing with what they want to write. But it is a style. See how it comes out perfect? And nothing was missing. Really didn't see how any words were missing. So good stuff today. Another page. Yeah, another page for us or those in the future.